Hi guys, welcome to Cracking the Spiritual Code. My name's Randi Sands, for those of you that don't know me. I want to start off by just letting everybody know that we are going to tape this tonight so that other mediums may be able to get their questions answered going forward. So by staying in, you guys understand, you accept, and agree to the possibility that you may be on recording. And as some of you know, I've talked a little bit about John White, and he's definitely one of the mediums that if I could emulate my mediumship in every way, it would be after John, because he's amazingly ethical. And that's why I asked Reverend John White to come in. John, I want to thank you for taking time to join us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Well, I know you're busy, and you know, it's my pleasure to have you. And I just want you to know that you are welcome in here anytime you want to be, John.
Okay, thank you. It's a new experience for me.
Right. Just learning Zoom. So, John, I had asked you to join us on ethics and mediumship. You can leave that open. And I had a couple of reasons. Number one is I've realized that a lot of mediums, they may do workshops, but they aren't necessarily taught ethics and mediumship in the workshops. Another reason is because I've had a couple people call me recently where mediums have said things that were inappropriate, that caused a lot of anxiety. And the other reason is, with everything going on in our world right now, I've seen some things on social media that I'm not going to say that they were unethical, but I question. So I thought it would be nice to have you come in, you know, someone that's been doing this for a very long time and that's respected worldwide, and talk with us about ethics and mediumship.
Okay. So where shall we start?
At the beginning.
Okay. Okay, so many years ago, I was listening to a amazing healer. Her name is Catherine Kuhlman. She said that as a medium or a mystic or a spiritual worker, think of yourself like a beautiful musical instrument. If you show up in tune, then the angels can come and play with you or play through you. You're the one that's responsible for showing up in tune. So one of the things that I've realized over the years, and I've learned this from yoga and Tai Chi and other spiritual masters, is that we are responsible for showing up in tune. So one of the ways to show up in tune is obviously to meditate and to do whatever disciplines work for you. Different disciplines work for different people at different stages of their development and their life. But before I teach mediumship to anybody or psychic ability to anybody, I really teach them how their higher mind thinks. Okay? Because it is your higher mind that you will attract the higher teachers. For instance, I'm not trying to be funny, but everybody who's passed on, it doesn't mean they're intelligent. Okay? So what if you communicate with people who have passed on? They have their belief systems, they have their dramas, and even perhaps some of them have their addictions, even though they have passed on. And it is true that they do have an opportunity on the other side of life to get their act together. So it is important that you realize that when you are communicating with people who have passed on, they give themselves away by their energy. Okay? So if you are in tune yourself, there's in the Bible, it talks about the gifts of the Spirit. And one of the gifts of the Spirit is the ability to discern the Spirit. That means to be able to tell or sense what their intentions are and what their ethics are. Okay? But getting back to us as human beings, it is important that you learn how your higher mind thinks. Now, let's refer to that little book called The Four Agreements. Now, some of you have probably read that book, right? The Four Agreements. And it's about the North American Native man goes into a cave and his higher mind teaches him how to think, okay? So the first thought is to be impeccable with your word, because your word is your wand. So as a medium, as a healer, you can, if you say the right thing to the right person at the right time, you can heal them right there. You say the wrong thing to the wrong person and you can destroy their life. So you are responsible for everything that comes out of your mouth as a healer, as a medium, okay? And so, like for instance, so if I, let's say if I sense a spirit who has passed on and I don't really feel as though that spirit is very, very highly developed. And as a medium, I can say, oh, the spirit told me to tell you this, but I'm still responsible for everything that comes out of my mouth, okay? So for instance, if your grandmother comes through and your grandmother says, oh, you shouldn't take that course, it's not part of our tradition. I would say to them, well, this is your grandmother speaking, it's not God. This is your grandmother speaking, it's not God, okay? So you have to make up your own mind. So again, be impeccable with your word because your word is your wand. Okay, and then the next one is, don't take things personally. And that's probably my favorite one, because nobody does anything to you or for you that has anything to do with you. So as a medium or a mystic, you have to understand how the higher mind thinks, okay? And so that means being what is known as emotionally intelligent. So as a medium, it's important for you to be emotionally intelligent, because your mediumship has to come through your emotions and your feelings. And then the next one is don't assume anything. But the next one after that is your intentions. Be sincere. Be sincere. Now, what does all this have to do with mediumship? Again, the purpose of giving a person a reading is to heal them. So whether you're the psychic or the medium or the tarot card reader, all this is for the purpose of healing, okay? And if you're healing and helping the person, then you're doing your job. And if you're not, then you're just playing mind games. And when you really do get your act together and you're very sincere in your work, then the higher angels will come and work with you. So you're the one that's responsible for showing up in tune. Now, I believe very much in discipline. And over the years, I've learned, from Tai Chi and yoga and other disciplines, I've learned how to purify my emotional body. Now, let me explain that. So let's get back to something called mindfulness. So mindfulness is, you're not your thoughts, you have thoughts. You're not emotions, you have emotions. You're not your intuition, you have intuition. All right? So let me ask you all a question. Is there any one of you that actually believes everything you think? And if it's true, you're in trouble. Okay? Is there any one of you that actually believes everything that you feel? Do you believe your emotions? And if you do, you're in trouble. Okay? And so purifying the higher mind, for instance, now different things work for different people. Now, I've learned many over the years to do very advanced breathing exercises. So when you attach your mind to your breath, you change your chemistry. When you attach your mind to your breath, you change your chemistry. And everything's under natural law. So the purpose of doing breathing exercises, and again, it just works for me, advanced breathing exercises every morning, is I purify my emotional body. And when I purify my emotional body, I get to be intuitively present. Okay? So again, there's different ways of you tuning up your spirit so that you can be the best that you can. And again, it's very important that you learn how your higher mind thinks. Because in the end, it is your higher self that is the real teacher. Okay? Now, what is the purpose of a master teacher showing up in your life? What is the purpose of you having spiritual guides? Well, the purpose of you having spiritual guides is that they're here to help you to wake up the natural talents that God gave you before you showed up in the world, okay? And the purpose of a master teacher is to wake up the master who lives inside of you. I'll say that again. The purpose of any master teacher showing up in your life is to wake up the master who lives inside of you. So becoming an ethical medium is, how does your higher mind think? So how does a master think? So let me ask you about different forms of intelligence. For instance, I love to teach people something called intuitive intelligence, okay? And then there's academic intelligence. So let me backdrop. Let me go back for a moment. Does anybody know of anybody who's academically very intelligent who never learned how to read and write? And if you do, I would like to know what their name is. Does anybody here know of anybody who's spiritually very intuitively intelligent who never learned how to meditate? Does anybody here know of any spiritual master teacher? Now, I'm not talking about if you're a medium or a psychic or a healer, but I'm talking about master teachers. Does anybody here know of any spiritual master teacher who never meditated? And if you do, I would like to know what their name is, okay? So we're talking about, there's academic literacy, and there's also intuitive literacy. And you could say there's also emotional literacy, but there's also spiritual literacy. What would happen to you if you became, okay, let me backtrack. What would happen to you if you became emotionally intelligent, intuitively intelligent, academically intelligent, and spiritually intelligent? Well, then you would be your real self, okay? So anyways, what I'm trying to say to you, I don't mean to jump around so much, education is very important. It's very important that you learn how your intuitive brain thinks, okay? So Einstein said the intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational brain is a faithful servant. We have created a society where we honor the servant and forgotten the gift. And Einstein also says it's all energy, that's all there is to it. Create the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but to create that reality. This is not philosophy, it's physics, okay? So it's all about creating a higher frequency. And then we get into the natural law, is like attracts like. Now, again, I don't mean to jump all over the place, but I believe very much in learning how to harness your energy. Okay, just a moment. Can you get the mic just going dead?
You're on, John. You're on.
Okay, no, my computer's about on. I have to plug my computer in. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So I didn't mean to jump around so much, but I believe part of being ethical is showing up in tune. Okay, and you're the one that's responsible. You're the one that's responsible for showing up in tune. Now, if anybody has any questions, obviously we can go into other things about that. Does anybody have any questions? But remember, you are responsible for everything that comes out of your mouth. Okay. For instance, many years ago, I had a teacher that I studied in Chesterfield, Indiana, studied many different spiritual camps. And one time there was a student who came to the class, and what they did is that they started acting really foolish to give messages, and they were acting really silly to give messages. Now, you have to admit, in this field, I bet some people are a little bit off. Does anybody here know of any psychics or mediums that are a little bit off? Well, if you don't, I can give you a whole list, okay? You have to admit, we're a pretty colorful crowd, okay? And so this person would stand up and they would do all these foolish things to give a message. And I remember my teacher saying, "What's wrong with you?" And then the person said, "Well, my guide is getting me to do this." So my teacher says, "Obviously, will you tell your guide to get their act together?" Okay, because all prophets are in charge of their spirits. Okay, all prophets are in charge of their spirits. Okay, because the purpose of doing this is to help to heal. Is to help to heal and inspire people. Just about. This is not a good plug.
Okay, good.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, we're just making sure it's plugged in. I don't know where Randy left.
No,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Maybe by just asking very specific questions. Yes.
Go ahead, Lisa.
So we have to be in tune at any given point, and how you prepare for that is always in meditation.
No. Okay. Your body. Okay. Okay. Just a moment. Let's say if you don't meditate at all. Okay. Then you have to depend on your biorhythms. So each month you'll have an emotional high, emotional low, mental high, mental low, physical high, and physical low, okay? And so when you're on an emotional high, that's when you're most intuitive. So all mediumship is contained in is subject to natural laws. So there's different natural laws. So what I'm trying to say is that you can reproduce the different mind states to keep you in tune most of the time. And if you don't, then you have to depend on your biorhythms. So now enter a conversation with me. Are you saying that you don't have to meditate to be intuitive?
Well, it's hard for me to meditate, and I don't know if there's any other way that I can get to that higher frequency.
Okay, of course there is. Okay, there are different things. Different things work for different people. So, for instance, if you do cardiovascular exercises, you make endorphins, which is the body's making morphine, and you actually put yourself into a higher state. So there's different ways, okay? Like, so for instance, in yoga, depending on your personality, some people do, you know what Bhakti-Yoga is?
Yes.
It's devotion. So if you're an emotional person, they would say, well, why don't you do Bhakti-Yoga? Because doing Bhakti-Yoga purifies the emotional body. And then when you're emotionally clear, you're spiritually very present. For someone else, doing physical exercises, which basically changes your chemistry, produces morphine, produces morphine in your body. So different things work for different people. Now, the thing that may work for you today, 7 years from now, may be different because you're always changing. Okay, so again, it's all based on natural law. All mediumship is contained in and subject to natural laws. It's Einstein that said, I want to know how God thinks. God thinks through natural law.
John,
Okay, let me give you some homework, okay?
John, can I interject for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead, honey.
So Lisa, the question that you asked, and I couldn't have asked John to answer that any better. I told you guys that for me, meditation isn't my first go-to, because for whatever reason, when I meditate, I have rivers running down my face. My eyes just water like crazy. But I'm one that will swim a couple miles a day.
Beautiful.
I'm one that will pray several times a day, and I will get myself through prayer to that space. So it's whatever works for you.
You know, here's another way of looking at it. When you're okay, let me give a definition of what being a psychic and a medium is. Okay, so when you're tuning into someone intuitively, what's happening is that you're producing the same brain waves that you produce when you're asleep at night, but you're wide awake at the same time. What literally means you're using alpha brain waves. Okay, so some people get into alpha brain waves by listening to music, because music is a manifestation of energy and information. Some people could do it through their body, okay, like through exercises. Some people do it through breathing. Some people do it through devotion. So different things work for different people. So for instance, there's no such thing as a learning disability. There's only an inability to learn the way that you learn. So it is up to you to figure out how you learn, okay? But what I'm trying to say is that if we were to put an EEG, if we were to take current photography of you when you're doing your readings, we know that you're more than likely producing alpha brain waves. And the more that you can learn how to control those alpha brain waves, that the deeper you'll go into higher states of consciousness. It's just natural laws.
Right.
Okay? So again, different things work for different people. Now, your higher mind knows what works for you. So more than likely, whatever you daydream of doing, that's probably what works for you at this stage in your life. Okay.
That helped me, and I'm more on the exercise part.
Good.
I really appreciate it, and it's really good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Now in India, we would teach you Hatha Yoga before we would teach you Raja Yoga. Okay? And then the thing in between the meditation and the physical exercise is the breathing exercises. So in Tai Chi or Qi Kung, is the masters have learned how to control their life force through their breath. So think of your breath like the Holy Spirit, being inspired and being inspirational.
John, I think Cheryl had a question for you.
Yeah.
I use essential oils to raise my frequency. You know about essential oils?
Yes. Yeah, good for you. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's break it down. There's no such thing as sound. Sound is a manifestation of energy and information. There is no such thing as color. Color is a manifestation of energy and information. There's no such thing as aromas. The aromas is a manifestation of energy and information. Okay? So it can come through different modalities. So good for you. Whatever works for you. Because those aromas are basically putting you into a different mind state.
The limbic system, it really works.
Okay, are there any other, okay. Now, the reason why I'm a little bit big
John,
on
George,
Yeah.
George, go ahead, George.
Go ahead, George.
So good to meet you. And I have just two quick questions for you.
Yeah.
I find that, you know, with working with Randi and learning kind of the skills that we've been learning, sometimes when we connect with spirit, be it through, you know, getting into that alpha wave, right? There's times where it goes quickly and there's times that it doesn't go so quickly. And there's times that it seems like that connection kind of doesn't happen, but you're kind of hearing something, but you're not hearing it all the way. And I kind of wonder what that is. So that's number one. And then the question number two is, you talked a little bit a while ago about our thoughts, right? And that our thoughts are thoughts and they aren't what we are. And so, you know, I'm a big Wayne Dyer fan and you know, Abraham Hicks and you name it, I've read it, right? And they talk about our thoughts being so powerful. So I just want to kind of understand that just a little bit better, if you can just kind of give us a one-on-one on that.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you're reading for a person, you become an extension of the person you're reading for. Okay. So one of the things I learned how to do many years ago is to do readings just like Edgar Cayce. Like you can say someone's name to me, and in a moment I can go visit them and go through their body and tell you what's going on with their health. And sometimes, and I know thousands of people who know how to do that, it's education. Okay. And so you give me somebody's name, it'll go very clear, and you give me somebody else's name and I will struggle with it. Okay. Because I become an extension of their energy. Okay. And so again, it's all has to do with energy. It all has to do with frequency. Now, the only way that I know how to be clear with most people is basically to manage my own energy. Okay. Okay. So another way of putting it, Einstein says it's a frequency. So it's all frequency. If you raise your frequency up, then your mind becomes very strong. Now let's take away, if you take away all the religious connotations of what meditation is, you know what meditation is? Super concentration. So meditation is super concentration, which means super learning. Okay, so don't think of meditation as being religious. It has to do with your ability to focus your mind. That's what it's all about.
Got it.
Okay. Now, the other thing about mindfulness is there's a course you can go take. It's a little extreme. It's like sending you off to boot camp. And you ever heard of a 10-day silent retreat by Vipassana meditation?
I haven't, because I'm an extrovert and that just freaks me out. But
okay.
I would try it.
Okay. Okay. Don't tell them I sent you. Okay. But what I mean by that is that if you go there and you fill out a form, and if you say, "Oh, I'm interested in psychic ability and mediumship," they'll say, "Well, this is not for you," because what will happen is that you'll become extremely intuitive, and they don't want to deal with that. Okay. So, but what happens is, okay, here's the theory. Let's say, okay, you see my hands? Let's say in between my hands is your conscious mind, underneath is the subconscious mind, and above is the higher mind. Okay. So what happens for about 3 or 4 days of a 10-day silent retreat, you empty up your subconscious mind. So all your defilements and fears come to visit you. And then after about 7 days, your higher mind opens up. Here's the theory behind it. What happens if you stop eating? Your body has to feed off of the old fat. If you put yourself into a silent environment, your conscious has to keep on going. So if there's no new input, it feeds off of all the old stuff, okay? And that's exactly what the North American Native people call a vision quest. That's exactly what Jesus was doing, what Moses was doing, what Muhammad was doing. They all did that, okay? So it's good for each and every one of us, if we can handle it, to go off on a silent retreat. So who do you think you're going to meet if you go off on a silent retreat all by yourself?
Wow.
Yourself.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, okay. Now, I'm not trying to be funny, but sometimes people can't do that because we're obviously in bad company.
But I guess, are you trying to get to the, maybe what I'm trying to understand, I guess in that silent retreat, I guess you do meet the divine, I guess, right? Because you're in such silence.
Your own divine, your own divine. Okay. Now what happens is mindfulness. So you really do learn that you're not your thoughts, you have thoughts. So actually what you do is that you learn how to observe yourself think. And when you get good at learning how to observe yourself think, you know how to tell the difference between an intuitive thought, a rational thought, and an emotional thought. And they're all frequencies. Now, in order for you to do that, you know, it's helpful if you're pretty in tune. Again, think of yourself like a beautiful musical instrument. If you put yourself in tune, then you can really play.
Got it.
Okay.
That was good. That was good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for John? John, you said you wanted to give them homework.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I know an amazing medium. Her name is Google. Okay. And so put 105naturallaws.com and you will pull up a website. It'll give you 105 different natural laws. Okay. I don't know what just happened. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you, John.
Okay. Yeah. So 100 different natural laws. Because again, all mediumship, all healing, you could say all prosperity, all relationships are contained in and subject to natural laws, because that's how God thinks, is through natural law. Okay? I just want to bring something up about being empathic, okay? Let's get back to this thing called mindfulness. Again, learning, like for instance, let's say if I was to tune into one of you, I would think of you with sincerity, and then what I would do is I would watch myself think, and whatever I'm thinking has to do with that person. So again, when you're tuning into someone intuitively, you are actually learning how to observe yourself think. Okay? And being able to tell the difference between a rational thought, an emotional thought, and an intuitive thought. Okay? Now let's take it, now, for those of you who are empathic, you know, empathic means, you know, like for instance, your mind's in every single cell of your body and your brain's in your head, okay? And so being empathic is that you will feel in your very being what's going on with the person that you're trying to tune into, all right? So being mindful is that when you're tuning into a person, you're not only observing yourself think, but you're observing yourself how you feel, and you totally become an extension of the person you're trying to tune into. Okay. I just want to bring one thing up. It's a little bit off the record, but well, why don't we try something right now? Think of everybody. Now, don't worry. We won't put it on CNN News tonight, okay? But everybody think of one of their favorite addictions that they probably should give up.
Oh,
that you want to admit, okay?
there's a lot.
Now, okay. I don't want you to tell me them, but I want you to close your eyes and entertain that addiction and bring your consciousness into your body and you will have a sensation connected to the addiction. And when you have accomplished that, touch yourself on the body where you feel the sensation. It'll be very subtle, but it's there. Has everybody accomplished that? Okay. Okay. Open your eyes. Okay. So you know when I said you're not your thoughts, you have thoughts. You're not your emotions, you have emotions. You're not your intuition, you have your intuition. You're not your addiction, you have addictions. And you know what you're addicted to? You're addicted to the sensation you get, not to the actual substance itself. So this is how I become even more mindful. So let's say many years ago you used to smoke cigarettes, and you're walking up the street, and all of a sudden you see people across the street smoking cigarettes, and all of a sudden you have a desire to have a cigarette. So what the master teacher would do is that they would go inside their body, they would get in touch, they would get in touch with the sensation, thinking of the cigarette, and they'd say to themselves, oh, isn't this interesting? This is what it feels like when I want to have a cigarette. I wonder how long this will last. And so you learn how to observe it and not react to it. And by doing that, as time goes on, you can help to disempower the addiction, because you're not addicted to the thing, you're addicted to the sensation. Does everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So it really helps you to be empathic, okay? Because when you're being intuitive, you're not only watching yourself think, but you're watching yourself feel. Okay. Oh, anyway, so that's just, I just wanted to bring, I'm a little bit into Buddhism and yoga and things like that. That's why I use a lot of Eastern, see, a long time ago when the Beatles went off to India, that's when I learned how to meditate. And so, and I belong to an organization in Montreal that we're very much connected to different yoga centers and people from the East and the Dalai Lama. And so I use Eastern disciplines to awaken Western mediumship. So Eastern disciplines to help me to awaken Western mediumship. Because a lot of the swamis in India can actually do some of the magnificent miracles that we only read about some of the saints doing. But the yogis have been doing it for a long time.
Fabulous.
Okay.
So does anybody have any more questions before we start to end the process? No? Okay. So
Okay.
in closing, if you enjoyed this video, anybody out there in the internet world, I encourage you to like Cracking the Spiritual Code's Facebook page. That way you'll be able to stay on top of topics we have, workshops, classes, online spiritual book clubs, and what have you coming up in the near future. I recently posted some topics that are coming up for this month and early next month. Also, anybody that wants to watch videos like this, you know, you can go to YouTube and subscribe to the Randi, R-N-D-I, Sands channel. And as a matter of fact, John has some videos there with me already on advice for people that want to develop. So you can go and you can view those should you want to. What else? If there's any topics that you guys would like to see, please don't hesitate to let me know at Cracking the Spiritual Code's Facebook page. And for those that are interested and you know, resonated with John and you'd like to do a reading with him, I was supposed to have it flash on the screen, but unfortunately, I'm having a little issue today with technology. So it's Rev, R-E-V, John, A-O-H-N, White, just like the color.com. If you need me to repeat that again, just put your hand up and I'll be happy to do so.
So it's revjohnwhite.com.
Correct. Rev, R-E-V, John, J-O-H-N, White, W-H-I-T-E.com. Okay. And anybody that would like to reach out to me, my favorite form of mediumship is animal communication. And you can reach me through crackingthespiritualcode.com. Again, that's crackingthespiritualcode.com. And as we say goodnight, I would like to, remind everybody that in this difficult period with this coronavirus, we have so many reasons to still be grateful. And, to please try to keep a mindful thought on the things we have to be grateful for instead of concentrating on the negative, because it may sound hokey, but it really does make a difference. It makes a difference in our energies and just, how we deal with minute to minute, day by day, because this could go on for a little bit. So let's all try to keep our energies up. Let's all stay healthy. And may you all have an amazing week. And John, honey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for asking.
Good to
We'd
see
love
you again.
Wait,
Bye,
one at a time, guys. Honey, what did you want to say to John?
I just wanted to say, John, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you again, hon. Thank you.
Okay, whoever wants to say goodnight, raise your hand one at a time. Okay, Lisa, go ahead.
Good night, John. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you. Thank you. Don't I know you?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a lot that I'll say to you, by the way.
Probably.
You're gonna see her, John. She's one of my students. She's gonna be up and coming. Cheryl,
Okay.
you wanted to say goodnight?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm all kind of new to this. Actually learning officially about all of this. I've been interested for years. So I'm excited. It was so cool to
You should be excited.
have
Oh my
a
God.
famous medium on. So I put this up. My cousin just sent this to me today. Can you read that, or is it backwards?
Yeah, the purpose of your lives is to be happy. The Dalai Lama.
Yeah, there you go.
John,
Okay.
and you've held space with Dalai Lama, haven't you, John?
Yes, I was at a lecture where he taught us how to teach the Lamas in Tibet how to soul travel.
Yes.
You can have him on like every week if you want, okay?
Oh, honey, I would have him on every day. He's busy.
He can
But
get practice on a Zoom with us. We'll be your experiment.
He's welcome here anytime he wants. I'll drop anything for him. Bea, do you want to say goodnight?
Thank you so much for coming out and sharing. And Randy, thank you for putting this together. Blessings to everybody.
Namaste. Thank you.
And George?
Thank you so much. This has been absolutely super inspiring. And I mean, wow, I think I just learned like in the last 40 minutes, like so much. It's amazing. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Anyone
you.
else? So
Let me just say something. A mystic knows how to set up the environment so the phenomena could happen.
and let me just close with this, you guys. John has been a friend for, I don't know, a few years now. And I've got to tell you guys that just being around him improves my mediumship. Just being around him.
Wow.
And that may sound funny, but it's very true.
Nice to see you again, John. Thank you so much for
Thank
tonight.
you. See you again soon, honey. Thank you. Okay, good night, everybody.
B, you didn't raise your hand again, did you? Is that the same symbol I'm seeing?
Same thing, sorry.
All right, that's okay. So everybody have a great night and a wonderful week. And for my students, I'll see some of you tomorrow and I'll see some of you on Thursday.
Night, everybody.
Good
Awesome.
night.
Good night. Good night.
Bye.
Right.